the SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi folks and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media Scottish Women's Football Show. I'm Scotland Pike. It's always a pleasure to be your host, and it is our first show of 2025, so Happy New Year to all our viewers. It's going to be quite a kind of quiet, busy show this week, I think it's the best, because we've got 4 leagues to cover. The action's back. I thought we would have less games than what we did, so I'm quite glad that they all kind of went through. We'll go through the kind of 4 leagues. We've obviously got some big news to start on, and then we'll kind of look at the games that are coming up over the weekend. Now, Suzanne's not with us this week. We'll hopefully get her back next week. But it's a pleasure, as always, to be joined by Stenhousemuir's Lauren McCulloch. Lauren, Happy New Year and welcome back to the show.
Happy New Year, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's been fairly quiet, obviously. It's been the Christmas period. It's been busy elsewhere, but women's kind of football's not really had much going on, but doesn't mean there's not news. Will we start with Scotland looking for a new manager?
Yeah, I know. I don't think it was a shock that Pedro left. I think it was kind of coming. I think a couple of results last year maybe saved them, bought them a wee bit of time. But after the result against Finland, I think there was kind of no other option. I think we do need somebody new in charge.
What do you think about his kind of reign as a whole? Because I think when he came in, there was a lot of excitement. I think personally, and I don't know if you agree with this, I think there was a bit of the Fran Alonso effect. I think there was that thought going into Scotland, right? Fran's done so well at Celtic and kind of brought a kind of breath of fresh air to the job. Would Pedro do the same? Now, I don't think Pedro came with an overly bad pedigree. Like obviously, the manager at Arsenal had done fairly well in kind of Spain. He's already got a new job straight away. We should say that he's got a job literally within a month. I think he's just been announced as the manager of Tigres, which is obviously a side in Mexico, and he came with a big reputation. I just think he should have got more out of that squad.
Yeah, I think if you look at the squad and the talent that there is, I think not qualifying for a tournament is it's pretty poor. I think based on the players we've got, there was a really good mix there of experience and youth, and he just for some reason couldn't strike a balance. I think you're right with the Fran Alonso effect. I think the SFA probably thought, you know what, maybe this is the way to go. Maybe steer maybe away from, a native national manager, try something a bit different. Fair play, it just didn't really work out. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see who comes in next for sure.
And obviously, the big thing was, I think when the contract top was announced, obviously after losing to Ireland, there was a little bit of an issue then because for the simple reason it had been seen as a failure not qualifying. I get Ireland obviously were just as probably as capable a side, but then there was a big kind of contract extension at the time. I remember being on here with Suzanne. I think somebody else was on as well, and we were like, "That's a bit of a." Like that, that's very surprising that they've decided to do that. And from then, obviously, been relegated for the Nations League and not qualifying for the Euros. I think his days were numbered.
I know definitely. I think as I said before, it was a kind of just a matter of time. I think a few results did buy him a lot of time because there was a bit of a period. I think it was maybe the middle of last year that there was a bit of an uproar on social media saying he needs to go, he needs to go. He got maybe a couple of wins or a draw and a win, I can't exactly remember. And it was like, all right, okay, maybe he is the man for the job and gets qualifying. And the buzz around the Finland game came and quickly went. So yeah, I think it was time for him to go.
Now, obviously, whenever there's a managerial change, the first thought is who's going to be the next one. Ian Maxwell had said just before Christmas that they were searching far and wide for Pedro's replacement. I have a theory. I think it's
Okay.
very much. I don't think it's like a far out one. Glasgow City bringing back Leanne Crichton. I think there's always maybe been a bit of a kind of go and ply your trade somewhere, like what she maybe did at Motherwell, and then come back and we'll maybe kind of fit you in here. And I think it's maybe Leanne's time to make that step up to Scotland. I know she was there under Pedro, but I can think of no one better at the moment to take that job. The issue is, though, is she going to leave at this point of the season because she's got City flying. But I think if you were to get to offer her the job, I don't think she'll turn it down.
I don't think Leanne Ross would turn it down, to be honest. I think City are 5 points clear though. Would she want to leave at
That's
this
the
point?
thing. That's
Yeah,
that's
I
purely
don't
the
know.
thing. Yeah,
Personally, for me, Bab, the first choice would be Brian Graham, and I
that
think
was
a lot of
another
people
one.
have said
Yeah,
that. Again, I think he's done really, really well with this role. Obviously, he's got a good thing going. He's still kind of flying with the men's side, and I think it's quite a comfy position for him in a sense. Like he's got everything kind of balanced and worked out. But I don't know how much further he can take Thistle. In a sense, back to back top six finishes, like doing well this season. They've struggled a bit more, but I think that's your top two contenders. I think is Leanne Ross and Brian Graham. It will just be interesting to see if anybody else crops up.
the only other name that I thought of was Grant Scott, but I'm not necessarily sure that would be happening at this point. Again, very, very good option. When Ian Maxwell's saying no searching the net far and wide, like I'm not. I do think like I certainly look at all the options available, but does that potentially mean that they're not ready to give up on the idea that it might be a kind of foreigner to come in? Like,
Yeah, that's what it
and I'm
sounds
not
like.
against it, but is it maybe the time just for a bit of solidity and try and get the best out of their squad with somebody who knows? Because like the difference between women and men's football, I think, is a lot of the squad are very, very close. Like you don't have maybe what you'd have in the men's game, where a lot of kind of players who kind of get picked up at national. Like, do you know what I mean? Like a lot of the Scotland men's team haven't been with Scotland youth, whereas Scotland women's that's been the case. A lot of them know each other. That squad are very together. Do they need somebody to come in who's maybe like a Leanne Ross, like a maybe a Brian Graham, who knows what this squad's capable of and knows how to get the best of them?
I think so. I think you're completely right with kind of they've all grown up together. Obviously, you get to this more senior ages, and it does kind of mix a bit more. But
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, they have grown up together, and it is just a bit of consistency. And I think there's no better place to look than right at home, really, for your managerial options. They know the Scottish game. A lot of the Scotland national team still play in Scotland.
Yeah.
Which again is different to the men's game where you've got players, Billy Gilmore, Scott McTominay, etc., playing in Italy. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously we've got Caroline Weir that plays with Spain, you've got a couple down in England, but the most of that group still play in Scotland. So I think it's a case of look close to home
Yeah.
before you cast the net far out. But obviously with what you're saying about Ian Maxwell, I think they're maybe doing the opposite, but we'll just need to wait and see.
Because I don't think, and I'm not getting at the idea that we can't go foreign again, but Shelley Kerr was the only manager to get them to a major tournament. And
Yeah,
they obviously had Vera, they had obviously Anna, Shelley, and then Pedro. Like, I'm not, this might come across as, oh, stick to Scotland, and I'm not like that at all. But like, I don't think Shelley's in the running. I don't think she's anywhere near it, to be honest. And I don't really think, other than the three we've mentioned, I don't think anybody like Rangers and Celtic managers, I don't think are in the running. Player wise, I don't think there's any of the players that can make that step in at the moment. I think the Glasgow City effect of Leanne goes to Scotland, Leanne Crichton takes the job at City. I don't I can see that happening, and I'm actually at the stage now where if you were to give me a bet, that's where I would put it.
yeah,
Like,
but I think you're spot on with your kind of theory there, to be honest. It makes sense in terms of just the timing of it is kind of a bit convenient. Um, yeah, I think it is a tricky one because, as you said about Shelley Kerr, like she got us to a tournament, but that's the last tournament we got to.
yeah,
So, and she's also got that new job at Hearts. I'm not really a fan of teams and clubs going back the way in a sense. Obviously, Hibs have done it with Grant Scott and great, like that's worked really well for them. But I think we do need to maybe look to the future a little bit. Look to kind of the player development that I mean the youngsters coming through at Glasgow City, Lisa Forrest, is absolutely smashing it. Brian Graham turning Emma Lawton into now a full time
yeah.
footballer. Like they've got pedigree in the Scottish game of developing players, and I think that's what we need right now. We've got the talent, we've got the group. It's just about developing that style of play and getting results, and ultimately getting to a major tournament again.
Let's go into the action, the kind of the leagues at the moment. Obviously, 4 leagues. We'll start with the SWPL, and we've mentioned Glasgow City a few times. 5 points clear, 1-6-1 on Sunday against Aberdeen. Kozlova and Lavera scoring doubles, Robo and Forrest scoring for City as well. They just look absolutely faultless at this point. Like, they're so impressive what they're doing, and there's a lot of football still to be played, but at the moment they're doing everything right.
Yeah, I can't see them failing anytime soon, to be honest. And I think the one thing with Glasgow City is the goals are coming from all over the park now. Like, you can look at Rangers, obviously their front kind of two, Rio Hardy, Katie Wilkinson, and then obviously you can flank Kirsty Howitt into the mix there as
Yeah.
well. The majority of their goals come from that front three. At City, you've got it coming from all over the place, and they do just look unstoppable at the minute.
Do you think right now, like we look at the kind of fixtures, what's kind of coming up for them? They play Hibs like at the end of January, the 26th of January, and then like that big game against Celtic in the 14th could be very, very interesting. Like, at the moment, they are doing everything right. As you said as well, they've got a lot. The goals are coming from everywhere. Like, who would you say at the moment is their kind of like main kind of big players? Like, because Lova's been very, very good. Like Lavera, I think the likes of bringing Lisa Evans in has been a massive, massive statement as well. And you said about Ava Esden as well. Like, there's so many. They're just depth everywhere, and that's not something they've had for a while. Like, they've not had depth. They've had a lot of good talent, but they've maybe been struggling depth wise. The squad's massive now, and the squad's like very, very impressive.
Yeah, I think you can see that with the squad rotation kind of every week. The starting 11 isn't really as consistent as it maybe has been the last few seasons, but that's just a credit to the strength and depth they've got.
Mhm.
Obviously, you mentioned Kozlova and Brent Lavera, who I think they've just been outstanding all season. The experience of Lisa Evans is only ever going to benefit a team, but
Yeah.
I think you need to look at, I've mentioned her before, but Lisa Forrest has been absolutely flying. She's just been given that opportunity under Leanne Ross, and yeah, she's taking it with both hands.
In terms of the kind of nearest challenges at the moment, Rangers certainly started the year, the 2025, very, very well. 14-0 away win over Queen's Park. We mentioned, obviously, like Hardy scoring, Macaulay scoring a double, McLaughlin in the score sheet, like Wilkinson, Lafay, like Ross and Arnott as well. They're just, again, attacking wise, excellent. Like, they're not for letting this opportunity slip. They've still got a wee bit to claw back, but they can if they, I mean, they're scoring 14 goals. If they continue to show this form, big game coming up at the weekend. Like, they'll be looking to build on that, the performance at the weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think Rangers will never give up. Like, they've had that mentality for a good few years now, and they won't say it's over till it's over.
Mhm.
Obviously 14 goals, that's a statement if I've ever seen one. But they won't give up, and they will take it to the very end. And as long as they keep picking up points, that's all they can do. If they keep winning, they keep on Glasgow City's tails, and they just need to pounce on any mistake that they make.
And there's only a point between the next third and fifth. Hibs on 39, Hearts and Celtic on 38. Obviously, Hibs and Hearts have played a game less than Rangers. Celtic have played 2 games less than Rangers as well. So, like, people are saying, oh, Celtic might be out of it. I'm not necessarily sure they are at all. But Hibs and Hearts are certainly making a fight of it as well, which went from a big three to a big five.
Yeah, I think that's good to see, though. I think it's good to see the league becoming a bit more competitive. Obviously, the gap between the top five and then the rest of the league is still quite big, but I think seeing that three become a five is only a positive thing. Hibs have been, they're my underdogs this season. I didn't expect them to do as well as what they have done. I think if they win that game in hand, they go level on points with Rangers as well, so, or they're just above Rangers. So they could even be classed as title challengers at this point still.
Yeah.
Celtic, I think you know the quality Celtic bring. Elena Sadiku will say it herself, they're not out of it either. I think with the Champions League and the league, I think them balancing that, the travelling, etc., that's kind of hindered them a little bit in the league. But I wouldn't say they're out either.
We're recording this on Tuesday night, obviously, so the Aberdeen game's not happened yet, but it's very, very hard to see Celtic and Hibs not winning on Wednesday.
Yeah, definitely not. I think it's kind of a staple just for the way that the teams are struggling down at the bottom. I think it's really tight down at the bottom as well. I think, there's probably 4 or 5 teams that could probably be in the relegation zone.
Hmm.
Spartans, Montrose, Queen's Park, Dundee United, Aberdeen are all kind of fighting to get out of that, with only a few points between them. So that will also make an interesting end to the season.
Yep, absolutely. We'll go to Motherwell. Obviously, they went 5 points clear in the race for sixth with a win at Spartan Dundee United. Sorry, 6-1 win. Laura Berry scoring a hat trick. Like we did think, even it's. I don't think we expected Hibs and Hearts to be as impressive as they've been, but I think we were looking at who was going to finish sixth, and Motherwell were certainly taking the challenge to Partick Thistle. They're ahead of them at this point. I've been really, really impressed with Motherwell so far this season.
Oh, me too. I think Paul Brownlee's really struck that balance this year. I think they've been kind of throwing the hat in the ring the last couple of seasons, maybe just with not as much success. But I think he's really struck a nice balance this year, and you can see it in their performances. I think bringing Laura Berry back was a great signing. It's given her experience. She's scoring goals for fun, and I think Rangers will be ready to snap her back up in the summer once the loan deal's over. But yeah, they've been absolutely outstanding again. A team where goals are coming from all over the park. You've got Laura Berry, you've got Louisa Boys, you've got Jill Ingles at the back. Chelsea Watson, I think, scored a double as well.
Yeah.
So they're coming from everywhere. The youngsters, Sophie Black. It just looks like a really, really good side.
And we mentioned obviously the bottom of the table, obviously 3 teams going down. Spartans on 14. I think Spartans obviously are the side that I would say should be really, really confident that they should stay up for the simple reason I think they've won big games. They beat Montrose 3-0. They've picked up big points when it's mattered. I think Spartans have more depth. I think the other four though, I think they all, obviously we've said it all season, the games when they play each other are going to be absolutely massive. I think out of the 5 though, I think Spartans are the one I'd be like, and not just because they've got the points, I think they've got the most firepower.
Yeah, I think so. I also think Spartans, they've been in the league for a long time. They've got a lot of experience in that league. They know what it takes to stay in the league. Obviously, a good few years ago, they were challenging in the top half as well. So they know the league well. As long as they keep beating what's around them and get a couple of big results against the top six, I think they'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move into the SWPL 2. We've only had 2 games since the turn of the year. Actually, we haven't. Gartcairn and Hamilton won on the 5th of January. And then Kilmarnock obviously made advantage of this week. They beat their rivals there 3-0 and then won 6-0 away at Rossvale. So Kilmarnock 5 points behind Hamilton. Hamilton obviously still sitting high at the top. Their game was called off at the weekend. We've mentioned that Hamilton are sitting pretty comfortably at the moment, but Kilmarnock are certainly not for relenting.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's two big results for Kilmarnock. 6 points and 9 goals in the space of 2 days, 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
It's an outstanding achievement for that squad, and I think that's all they can do is try and keep on the tails of Hamilton. I think Hamilton aren't unbeatable, as
No.
we've seen before Christmas with the Boroughmuir result. So if Kilmarnock can just keep winning and take it to Hamilton till the last day, I think they'll be really pushing for that top spot. But I do think the gap between obviously first and second, they're now kind of pulling away. And it's kind of the rest of the league's kind of a little bit far
Yeah,
behind.
yeah, and it's pretty tight between the kind of other places in the league. Obviously, like Boroughmuir, Gartcairn, and Livingston, a point between them. Gartcairn are playing St Johnstone right, well, just about to start that game actually, and then you've got kind of Rossvale, St Johnstone, and Ayr kind of trying fighting for their lives at this point, even at this early stage. But it looks like a league that I'm not going to say is done already, but it's looking like there's 3 kind of fights going on here.
Yeah, I think there's a two-horse race for the league, if that's not already been kind of won already. And I think it is. It's a bottom three for the relegation in the playoff. I think St Johnstone have maybe got a game or two in hand,
Mm-hmm.
which could actually help them. I've seen they
Yeah,
signed Rachel Hurley permanently as
yeah.
well, so that's a great signing for them. And I think they started picking up. I think the break maybe came at the wrong time for St Johnstone. I think they were picking up results and
Mm-hmm.
and doing well. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season pans out.
Let's go into Stenhouse Muir's league. Obviously, the championship with 4 games at the weekend. Stenhouse Muir obviously lost 3-1 at home to Glasgow Women. Like, what was your kind of thoughts in that game? Like, in terms on Glasgow women, obviously they're in the mix of the kind of title contenders as well. That's a big win for them. What was your kind of thoughts?
I think for us, the break came at the wrong time.
Okay.
I think we hit a bit of momentum. We beat East Fife, we drew with Falkirk, and then we beat Forfar, in our last three games. And then we had 6 weeks without a game. We didn't train either. So I think the break did kind of come at the wrong time for us. But we're still learning. We are a very young squad,
Yeah.
so I think as long as we can try and push up the league to get more points, top half is still the aim. We just need to kind of beat what's in front of us, hopefully, and hit a good run of form. Glasgow, I think they're experienced. They've just came down from SWPL to. They'll want to go straight back up. They have that want. They have that desire, and
Mhm.
that kind of showed through on Sunday there. But no, I think as it is a league about consistency. I always say about the championship, if anybody can hit a run of form, the league can flip on its head in the matter of weeks. So yeah, definitely what the league looks like now is definitely not what it'll look like in a couple of weeks' time.
Let's like in terms of that league as well. Like, it is very very tight. Inverness now sit top of it. They had a big win at Morton at the weekend. Stirling Uni, I've been very very impressed with them. East Fife are there. I think we thought East Fife were going to be. Falkirk are kind of close by as well. We've got Dryborough in sixth, and obviously Renfrew and Stenhousemuir in seventh and eighth and 20 points. Like, if there's a team, I probably asked you this already, but if there's a team in that league you think could go and get promoted that isn't Stenhousemuir, who do you think it is?
I think based on who we've played, I think Stirling Uni.
Okay.
I think they've been the strongest team that we've faced. Um, I think just in terms of football wise, they play some really good football. They've obviously been in SWPL too as well, so they've got that experience too. They know what it takes to get promoted from the championship, and they know what it takes to bounce back up after being relegated. So they've got that really good mix. So I would say Stirling Uni.
And into League One, leaders in there as well. Bonnyrigg beat St Mirren 2-0. They now go 3 points clear at the top of the table. Obviously, Armadale didn't play, but Armadale in second. St Mirren and Inverurie in third and fourth. Bonnyrigg, I think, are a side that are threatening to be quite a good side kind of going forward, and I think they've got some really good players. They beat Queen of the South just before the break as well. They've started the year pretty well.
Yeah, I think they've kind of started as they need to go on. I
Mhm.
think only like I think towards the end of last season started to show that they've got some real quality. And I think they've just pushed on this year and taken it to another level. So the fact that they're sitting top of the league, it's not a shock to me. And I think they've got the players there to be able to go and clinch the league. I just can't see anyone really catching them. Maybe Armadale, but I think Bonnyrigg are a very strong side.
Yeah, I think the top four there. I think they're all very very competitive sides. Queen of the South on the far back either, and big wins at the weekend for Kilwinning 4-3 away at Dunipace and Edinburgh Caledonia 3-1 over Inverurie. So again, massive results for them. And that's the thing, obviously, with the kind of way the kind of winter breaks turned out. The games are coming thick and fast now, and I think, as you say, I think a lot of teams will benefit from playing every week.
Yeah, 100%. I think just hitting that on a form quickly is what will push a lot of teams up the leagues. And I think it is just a case of who can be the most consistent. At the
Yeah,
end of the day, that's what's going to win you the league.
absolutely.
Who fight for those promotion places.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move into the weekend. We'll be back next week, obviously, and we'll kind of analyse these games. Big games coming up in the SWPL Cup semi-finals. First of all, we'll go with Hibs and Aberdeen. We'll do the wee predictor here. Hibs Aberdeen, who gets to the final?
I can't see past Hibs. Yeah, I think they're just too strong.
I think Hibs will win. The next one probably not as kind of. I don't think we'll be in as much agreement here. Celtic Rangers at New Douglas Park. The games are always tight. It's going to be a big occasion because whoever wins this will fancy themselves to win the trophy. Who wins it?
I get a sneaky suspicion Celtic will win it. I think as much as if Rangers are off the back of that 14-0 win, I I don't know. There's just something telling me that Celtic are going to have to get one back after the league defeat just before Christmas.
I'm with you. I think Celtic will win. I think again, the thing with these games is that there's so much happens and there's so many weird things that happens in these games. You can never really call it but I think Celtic will be in a real quest here to try and get. a trophy and try and get kind of momentum back. And it might just give them a massive, massive confidence boost to go on and not just kind of obviously be in the final with this, but a win like this against Rangers would maybe go, right, we can actually catch City here. We can actually be title contenders. Again, I think Celtic, I'm sneaky about Celtic here. So we're going Celtic Hibs final?
I think so, yeah, Celtic Hibs.
Okay, leave your comments below on what you think the final is going to be. Lauren, I cannot thank you enough for joining me. We'll see you next week, and hopefully we've got Suzanne as well.
Thank you. See you next week.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much to all that's tuned in, and we'll see you all next week as we review the SWPL Cup. Thank you very much.